Hey everybody, Ashton here with Gents, coming to you today looking like a 1980s sitcom cop. Today I'm going to be taking a look at one of my favorite houses. That house is Imaginary Authors. The fragrance that I'm going to be taking a look at is their most expensive release and one of their newest. It is Whispered Myths. Alright guys, let's check out this presentation. You have here the design of the fragrance. Each Imaginary Authors fragrance has its own design. The name of the fragrance. On the side you have the name of the house, name of the fragrance, and the Imaginary Authors logo. These look really nice if you line them up on a shelf. They look kind of like books. On the back you have some of the main notes of the fragrance and a little blurb that kind of goes along with the story that is set up for this particular fragrance. Because for those of you that are unaware, each Imaginary Authors fragrance has its own imaginary author, and each fragrance is based off of a story that imaginary author made. You can go to the Imaginary Authors website for a little more information on that. The bottle sits inside of the box like so, and when you do receive an Imaginary Authors fragrance in the mail, make sure to check the little pull tab right here. There will be one right about there, and when you pull it out, there's a hidden sample inside the box. So here is the bottle. Again, you have the design. On the side, it says Whispered Myths. On the back, it has the note breakdown. On the top of the cap, you have the Imaginary Authors logo embossed into the top of the cap. You can pick it up by the cap. It slides into place really well. It doesn't click, but you can very easily pick it up by the cap. Distribution is good. And when you have multiple Imaginary Authors fragrances, you can line them up like this on a bookshelf, and it's a really nice presentation. Again, it looks basically like books. That is the presentation for Whispered Myths. I'm a fan of Imaginary Authors, so I like it. Smell that cantaloupe. The opening of this is really interesting. The main note that I get is that imaginary note of salvaged shipwreck. If you're unaware of Imaginary Authors, every one of their fragrances has at least one or two imaginary notes. So those are notes that are not true perfumery notes. For this fragrance, that note is salvaged shipwreck. So it's supposed to smell the way that a salvaged shipwreck would smell. And the way I picked that up is an old, dusty, salty, sun-scorched wooden shipwreck. That's what it smells like to me right off the open. The cantaloupe and honey here are not really overly pronounced. They hide underneath the rising fumes of that wooden shipwreck note. And really the best way to smell that cantaloupe and honey, if you're interested in it, is just to smell this from the atomizer. When you do that, the cantaloupe note is pretty much all you smell. It's really interesting that from the atomizer you pick it up so strongly, and then once you spray it on, it starts to lurk underneath. The cantaloupe and the honey do add the faintest touch of sweetness to that dilapidated, forgotten kind of wooden smell. That subtle sweetness does dissipate pretty quickly, and once it does, you get a little bit of a touch of an oud that starts coming along with those other woody notes. For me, the oud and the salvaged shipwreck are the two main notes. Muscadana is here. It adds a little bit of an air of density and a slightly vegetal, musky smell underneath those woods. I should mention to you guys, the oud here is 0% animalic to my nose. It's really not fecal or funky at all. It's clean and medicinal, and once that oud settles in, the fragrance starts to smell like old wood with a little bit of overgrowth. And the far dry down smells pretty similar to that as well. This isn't a fragrance that has huge leaps and changes. It changes a bit from the opening to the mid, but from the mid to the dry down, it's pretty consistent. Basically, just those woody notes start to tone down, sit closer to the skin. The muscadana that gives off a little bit of that density, that musky feel, and kind of a vegetal scent, that fades out more and more the longer the scent stays on your skin. Longevity for me was in the 7 to 8 hour range. Projection was moderate for the first hour and a half or so. So this is one that performs really well on my skin, but it doesn't perform like a monster. It just hits a nice median. Age range wise, I'd say probably 25 years and up. It's not something that comes across overly youthful. Not sure if you can tell, but it looks like it's going to rain. In terms of best seasons to wear this, I would say spring, fall, and winter. Summer probably wouldn't work out as well. I would say it's an equal split between day and night wear. I just wouldn't wear it in really high heat. I've told you guys before, I'm a really big fan of Imaginary Authors, and I really do enjoy this release. The first couple of times I wore it, I didn't like it as much as I do now, so it's one that had to grow on me a little bit. Alright guys, that's my take on Whispered Myths. It's a little bit like an old, salty, sun-scorched, ancient shipwreck with added woods. That oud is a little bit medicinal, not animalic, it's clean, and you do get a little bit of a vegetal undergrowth or overgrowth kind of feel as you hit the mid into the dry down. Not going to be for everybody, but for me, really nice. If you've smelled this, let me know what you think about it. As always, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys next time.